Oh, this episode of Cinema Swirl is brought to you with the support of our wonderful backers over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl. This month, as in July, we released a new edition of Reverse Swirl, watching Quantum of Solace. It's an absolute blast. And next month, August, because this is Best of British, we'll be doing Worst of British. The vote is on the Patreon now, and there's some absolute dross to pick through. So it's an exciting time. If you want to find out more, head on over to patreon.com/cinemaswirl. $5 backers, CinemaSwirl. You get the idea. Check it out. All right, let's get swirling.
Cinema Swirl! Hey, he chundered at my mate. It's episode number 108, coming to you from the confrontation outside the bar in Hollywood, California, arguing with all of them Hollywood classic movies that my OTP, Sam Chaplin, has not seen. Hello, Sam.
Hello, but Kevin, I don't know if we're outside a bar in Hollywood, or are we outside a pub in bloody Blighty, mate? That's where I'm wondering where we are.
Well, I didn't want to spoil too much about the movie du jour, The Full Monty, but you may have guessed, folks, from the excitement in Sam's voice, it is only a bit of Best of British.
Yes.
And, you know, when we talk about the worst of Britain, obviously, you know, the issues with the India subcontinent and in Ireland, obviously, in Israel and, you know, the historic global slave trade links and all that. But Full Monty, though, mate. Hey, bit of Full Monty, not so bad, hey?
I'm glad that after all these years, you've done the right thing and decided to back Britain. And that just brings warmth to my heart that you've decided to do that. And it means a lot to me.
This is the podcast equivalent of when that minister ate all that beef on the bone to let everyone know that BSE wasn't real back in the day. It's fine, I don't do it. You know, Yeah. So, yes, we have actually managed to somehow do a Best of British swirl before we did a Best of Irish swirl.
Yes.
Most of which would be movies that would hit you right in the fucking core of your feelings and your nation's existence. Yeah. But instead, we're looking at The Full Monty today. We were going to do a vote, but then the thought was, bit of Full Monty, though. Come on.
Well...
Hey.
And also, you know, strike while the Disney Plus iron is currently available. Because there is a series of The Full Monty. So I'm curious as to how that...
Allegedly.
Which you've seen. You've watched it?
I have seen 2 1/3 episodes. And all I'll say is...
That's only part of the Monty, surely. Like, you've not seen the full...
But it's a subsequent Monty. Now, the issue here is that the way that streaming platforms work now is that by virtue of me saying that and the kind of the groundswell of people being underwhelmed by a show, it may not actually exist anymore. It may have been stricken from Robert Carlyle's records and any streaming platforms. And actually, it could be so badly received that the movie itself may be removed from the internet as well. Knowing how they do things now in Hollywood...
Yeah. Everywhere you turn, things are disappearing. The Full Monty Disney Plus series does smack of tax write-off. Some kind of thing to, you know.
Well, they set up the all-parliamentary Full Monty group in the House of Commons with a view to seeing and feeling out this process about, you know, how we could best get a bit of money out of the Full Monty. So I feel we're already in the weeds of it here now. And I feel that because of your birthright as being a British citizen.
Thank you.
And I feel like you're going to know more about this than you would most things. Because I feel like maybe some plot details have probably been chanted at you. Or maybe sometime you have been up in the pub and a glass has broken and someone has turned to you and been like, the synopsis for The Full Monty is his fault. You know, it feels like something very British that would happen, you know?
Well, all I'll say to that is, you can keep your hat on.
I've told you before, this is my hair, and I know it can resemble a large hat, but that is not...
Oh, how embarrassing.
Nice of you to say that. My full head of hair is not a hat, and I know I can leave it on because it won't come off.
Ah, good stuff. I know that song.
You know that song, okay?
Yeah.
Now, you may have skirted around the issue here.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give it away. Whereabouts in the UK are we setting this fully Monty'd movie?
I'll tell you where it's not.
Okay.
Down south. Bloody softy, champagne, socialist Londoners. It's not...
The Champagne South. You know all of them down there, down south. Now, this is what I love, right?
Yeah.
And Sam is a very, very interesting experiment for me here now, because in my travels and tribulations across this United Kingdom since I moved here around 12 or so years ago, I've noticed that what constitutes the north of England and also what constitutes the south of England is completely up to the inhabitants of wherever it is you may find yourself longitudinally or latitudinarily as well. Because when I was in Lincoln, people were like, oi, we're northerners here in Lincoln. And I've had folks here in Salford been like, Lincoln, them southern yellow belly dandies with their champagne sausage rolls. So, you're Nottingham. That's as Middle England as it gets. I don't think you and Nottingham would ever claim to be a northerner, though, would you?
No, you know what? I'd be in more of a rush to dissuade the notion that I'm a southerner than I would be to claim any kind of northernness. I don't feel like I'm northern, but I definitely don't feel like I'm a down south southerner.
Look, I'm gonna shout some zones at you here, right?
Sure.
Oh, and also as well, this is extra funny because of my trials and tribulations across the United Kingdom these past 12 years, I've noticed one thing. Great as the north-south divide is, and as ill-defined as it is, the only thing as ill-defined as that is the general geography knowledge of the United Kingdom citizens. You haven't got... I was gonna say names of some places, but you've probably not heard of them. For instance... Staffordshire, north or south?
That's kind of middle-ish. Stafford's kind of middle, a bit further down.
Leicester, north or south?
It's south of Nottingham. I can say where these places are in relation to Nottingham. Leicester's south of Nottingham.
That's not the same thing. The north-south divide isn't about the divide of the things that are north of Nottingham and south of Nottingham. Sam, forgive me, but that was a very stereotypically Nottingham-centric attitude that you have there.
Okay, Leicester, we're heading towards south, starting to get south, but I think still kind of in the... These are Midlands areas. That's its own identity, mate.
Okay, because I was wondering, if some people were sat around a calf. That's a cafe, for those of you who may not know. As one man once asked me when I first moved to Lincoln, where's the local calf? And I was like, I do not know what that is, sir. Are you after a latte, is it? Because I could I know a good barista nearby. Right? People, for instance, who are sat in Derby, they're not going to be like, boo, us Middle Englanders here. They're going to refer to themselves as Northerners or Southerners, right? Even still, I don't even think Southerners, there's Northern pride. Is there Southern pride?
I don't know. But, right, here's the thing. This film takes place in the north. It's a north.
Where?
I think sort of Sheffield or Yorkshire. I think.
Okay.
I mean, Sheffield is sort of Yorkshire, but yeah.
I was going to say,
Sheffield.
Yorkshire, basically, as a little bit of geography that I figured out, basically everywhere north of Manchester, except for Newcastle and Scotland, is Yorkshire. That's why. That's my estimation. That's my supreme geographical knowledge of the area in which I currently live.
Sure. Well, I think it's within Yorkshire is where this takes place. It's in the north.
I'm just saying, right, I was in Leeds once with a load of people who live in Leeds, working in Leeds, and they all had an argument about whether or not they were in Yorkshire. Right. They were. Because it is in Yorkshire.
It is that.
Not Leedshire, as I coyly suggested.
We're going geography heavy here, but I know that it is northern. I'm fairly confident of that. I know that.
A little bit of Sheffy? You been to Sheffield?
Yeah, I've been to Sheffield.
Sheffy?
To see the Steelers get battered at home. That's when I've been to Sheffield.
Wow. It is true that the Southerners have got a lot of hatred in their heart for the Northerners. Interesting that.
I'm not a Southerner, but...
You been to the big shopping centre in Sheffield?
Meadowhall. I've been to Meadowhall. Fucking love Meadowhall.
Man.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh,
unbelievable. Yes. The biggest and best equipped Eddie Rockets in all of the United Kingdom. I thought that was simply something we had in Ireland. A little bit of home in Sheffield there. So shout out to Sheffield for that. And also the industry. We all really appreciate all the steel working that you did back in the day. Much obliged for the steel. Use it for a lot of buildings and such. Now, Sam, a full Monty. You can leave your hat on, but in what is that relation to? Because that could just be Protestant church as far as I know. Like you go in, leave your hat on, no one cares. They might as well don't think God is real, you know?
Right, I don't want to get blue straight away, but I think the implication is you can leave your hat on, but your knob must be out. Is the
I see.
thing. Right, so let's get into what I think this is, right?
Please.
It's almost Calendar Girls, but
How is that a point of reference?
It's Calendar Blokes, right? It's northern lads getting their kit off. I know there's a nudity component because the full Monty is like fully nude. As far as I understand, that's what that means, you know?
So you're expecting to see dicks on screen tonight? Because we've not had a lot of dicks on screen in Cinema Swirl, really.
No, we haven't. I can't recall a penis, but maybe there has been one.
Jesus' penis in the Passion of the Christ. It was one of the, they put on the crown of thorns, they scourged him, and then they pulled off his trousers, and they all said he had a small dick, and they pointed at. That was the Romans, though, man. They were cruel.
They were cruel. I think. Right, you know what? I've got an idea in my head of what the plot is here.
Please.
So it's working class blokes in Sheffield working. Right? And
they're working.
They're working men, and they're working hard.
Do they go to the working men's club?
Possibly, yeah. Maybe that's where they all meet up and chat about this. But something happens, and I think it'll be some fucking London softie coming up being like, I'm afraid everything costs £1,000 million now, and like ruins all of their lives. And they're like, we'll never be able to keep our existence going unless we raise this amount of money. And the way they do that is we'll just, come on lads, we'll get our kit off. And the wives are like, you'll never sell a calendar looking like that. And no. Bloody no.
Looking like naked.
But they do it, and the whole city rallies around them, and they either sell those calendars or sell those tickets to that show, and the whole town is united behind male nudity and body confidence and the North, and they show those London southern softies that the best way to combat adversity is nudity, and they win the day. Yeah.
So it's basically like body positivity coupled with spite is what you think the real kind of through line of this movie is.
Yeah, that's the sexiest combination, right? That's yeah.
And it's good because obviously now in modern 2023 we want to get men to talk about their feelings. Back in the 90s, we just wanted them to be nude. Really, we didn't care about their feelings. That was the closest. When you may not remember this, but like back in the 90s, you'd be watching Saturday Night Takeaway, and Nat and Dec would be like, "Can men at home just take a moment to take all your clothes off? Now, just take a moment. Now put them back on. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's good to do this.
Yes, but that was back in the 90s, and this is the
90s.
This is a category of film that I think we've not seen much of, and you know what it is? It's a British feel-good comedy, is what this is.
Sam, we did do Bridget Jones's Diary. I will have you know.
I'm not saying we've not done them, but it's it's fit.
I think The Spy Who Loved Me.
I suppose with Bond, we've gone back to back British, which is rare for us. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm going to feel good here.
Feel good. Have you got an idea of a cast that you might be seeing here? Which British thespians will you be seeing the penis and genitalia, etc. of tonight?
Robert Carlyle of Begbie, Trainspotting fame, and Oasis's Little by Little video fame. He'll be there. Thingy off of Game of Thrones. Not John Thompson, the other one. You must be Ned Stark's bastard. That. No.
Shit.
Your shit. Yeah, bow your shits. He's in it.
Rise. Bow. Rise.
Your shit.
Shit.
He's there, and I think other than that, I can't recall names, but I feel like it's going to be a who's who of British acting and comedy talent from the mid to late, probably late 1990s.
Okay. So you're guessing late 1990s.
Yeah.
I don't want to, fill you doubt. I'm not saying it's one way or the other. Yeah. But are you reckoning this will have aged well? I've not seen this now in a few years, but I can't quite recall myself. Well, I'm wondering what you thought.
Maybe someone will slip in a problematic, turn of phrase. But I don't know. But I think it's just lads getting their todgers out, which I don't think
that's always going to age well.
That can never age badly, as long as everyone's up for it at the time, and that's part of it.
That being said, we cannot guarantee that if you were happy to see Robert Carlyle or any of the cast genitalia in their current form, that they may or may not have actually aged poorly. We are not saying one way or the other.
No, but these willies are frozen in time on celluloid, and so we'll be able to have a proper look at. I don't think we're seeing an actual penis here. I think
you don't think so.
I think we're getting implied willies. I think someone might be like, they've gone to the chippy and they've got a battered sausage and they walk past the rehearsal. Just in time, like, bloody hell, and it's a bit of fun, the bigger buns thing from Calendar Girls. I'm way too familiar with Calendar Girls.
You are. That's what you were watching instead of these other movies, Calendar Girls. Now, hang on. Now, before we get, I know we have mailbag, but I did. Well,
there'll be some mailbags in this, I think. It's probably, if we don't see a penis.
Will you be serious? Now, no, look, hang on now, because I've got an important question.
Okay.
This is one I've, being kind of journalistic and also, just make sure. Sam, the titular Full Monty is not only a movie, but also a frequent appearer on calf breakfast menus in Greasy Spoons.
Yes.
All across the UK. Yep. Now, I was wondering, is it safe to assume that this is the movie that you've eaten the most of in your time? Because I'm assuming I've eaten at least 9 Full Monties up and down this country.
I mean, I've drunk some Beetlejuice, but I mean, I'd say. Trying to think of one example of like an edible movie.
Of course, if you went to London, they call it big greasy fry up. They wouldn't call it the Full Monty or the Belly Buster or the loin tear. They call it like Notting Hill small plates or something.
Yeah. Bullshit. There'd be like sliders on there or something. Forget that. A Full Monty breakfast is what Pete Doherty had outside that calf. Is what, and he looked so happy afterwards. And that's how
I think as well, a Full Monty burger is something I've seen on a few menus as well. You have a burger that's called the Full Monty. And I would say as well, there's probably going to be a few pizzas called the Full Monty as well, if they don't want to be, predictable and call it the works.
Well, a Full Monty, similar to the works, is everything in it. But in this instance, it's you take off everything or you reveal everything. You put it on the pizza and then a fried egg on top. Yeah, you put your willy on the pizza and then fried egg on top of that. That's what happens in this film, I think.
So, people around you have seen this then. I'm assuming this is one that mum and dad have seen.
I remember it coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was a big, I will say, we saw the splashback, for lack of a better term, over in Ireland, where it was like, oh, look over there in England. They're all going now to see the Chippendale dancers that they were too ashamed to see a year prior. But Robert Carlyle says it's all right now, so they're going to go. I think they created a bit of a boom for the amateur stripper. And I think that was a good thing. Yeah, I wonder whether it, made a cultural impact. Possibly in terms of, body positivity and all that kind of stuff. What other movies are on menus in this country? I swear to God. Maybe you might get a Great Escape themed burger if they're stretching, but come on. But if this was late 90s, it makes sense for me to have not seen this, because I think if I was like, I want to go see the Rude movie with all the willies in it, I probably would have been told no. I don't think it's got willies in it, and I probably would have come out of there feeling good and having a great time. But you know what I mean? Like, it's rude. There's an implied rudeness. I'm sensing, though, that you're kind of excited for it, that like you think you might enjoy yourself with this. Because I think you might. Yeah. I'm after something with this kind of tone, Light. Something light. So a bit of knockabout fun, a bit of silliness. Knockabout. It is knockabout, isn't it? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Even though historically comedies have fared like milk in the hot sun here on Cinema Swirl. Sure.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm excited and I'm optimistic about the full
Good.
Monty. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Before we see those mail bags, I'm optimistic about this mail bag, which has got your mail in it. It's the mail bag. Like where you have testicles, you know?
Welcome to the mailbag.
Or should I say the scrotum? Right. Hey, come on now.
Welcome to the mailbag. Thank you for all of your mail. If you've got questions, queries, comments, or other bits and bobs, please send them on in to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. I understand maybe some of you might just want to send implied mail. That's absolutely fine as well.
First correspondence here comes in from Nicole, who writes the following. Hi guys, my partner John and I have been listening to your podcasts. I think that's including you.
Was that with a Z or an S?
It was an S in brackets, so I wasn't sure how to pronounce that out loud. Podcasts, like that. That's how you do it. For over 6 years. He even requested the famous Eric Bischoff episode on How to Wrestling way back when.
Oh!
We love your stuff, and we're both big fans. Thank you.
Next question. Moving on.
We are also fans of the French director Luc Besson and would like to recommend his work for a swirl-swill combo. Nicole writes, my favourite film since university is La Femme Nikita. John loves Fifth Element. I've seen Fifth Element, Leeloo Dallas Multipass. We both love Leon and Subway. I've not seen either of those. And we think Valerian has a lot of swill potential.
Oh, man, yeah. The problem there is that Leon is one of those movies that's got quite the question mark by it. As does some of the other works of that director, let's just say.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So all I'll say is I need to type in the director's name and the word controversy a few more times before I commit to anything.
Nicole also writes, I also want to throw my support behind the idea of a Bend It Like Beckham episode. That was another one of our best of British possibilities that we may well come back to, I think, and we probably should.
Jo has been so adamant about it. I think she has gaslit my immediate circle into telling me that it is like one of the biggest movies that's ever come out in the United Kingdom.
It was a big deal. Bend It Like Beckham. Yeah. Bend It Like Beckham was a big deal. Yeah. 100%.
Well, you know, we talk about footy all the time, so I feel it's a good fit, isn't it?
Yeah. One more point from Nicole and John here. We are from Washington, D.C., and we are curious as to whether either of you have visited the area and what your impressions are of the city. We have noticed people have a lot of opinions about our nation's capital. Thanks for your content, Nicole and John. Thank you, Nicole and John. I've never been.
Always wanted to go.
Yeah.
Always wanted to go.
It's the capital.
But I kind of feel like every year that I've wanted to go, they've put up more and more like barricades and high walls around everything. And I feel like it's maybe not tourist time in Washington, D.C. I'll tell you what, I'm super, super jealous always. Jo went to Washington, D.C. with her uncle and her family in like, it was like 1999 or 2000. And that's I don't want to say peak Washington, but that's like peak Washington, isn't it? Like, you know, West Wing, come on, man.
No direct opinions from me, but I mean, I would like to go.
I would love to go. Yeah. I would love to go. In spite of everything, I would love to go.
So thank you, Nicole and John. I think we're going to look into Luc Besson. Just do some quick Googling. Just
do our safeguarding, you know,
and Bend It Like Beckham probably on the horizon, I think.
But if Bend It Like Beckham has appeal all the way to Washington, D.C. with the man in the White House, I feel like that right there is. I was worried we might have another Christmas Story / Great Escape divide on our hands. Because I noticed not as many of you watched A Christmas Story compared to Great Escape. It's almost like the people from the UK sat that one out.
Well, I think that is literally what happened.
That is literally what happened. It's almost like I predicted that it was going to happen.
So, thank you, Nicole and John. Next question comes in from Martin, who writes the following. Dear Kevin. Just addressed to Kevin. Dear Kevin, are there any classic films that you'd love to introduce Sam to, but which wouldn't fit the format of a Cinema Swirl review? For example, celebrated films about a very serious subject matter, or classic comedies which are so funny that there's not much to say about them. Keep up the great work, Martin. Simple question, Martin. Good question.
I mean, yeah, there definitely is. Because I like realized in the very early run of this podcast, brackets, why did you do Big Lebowski and Commando for like in your first 10 episodes? It's because at the start, it was very much, these are the movies that are important, brackets, I like them lots and want Sam to see them because he showed me things and I want to show him things.
Yeah.
So I've tried to move away. I've tried to move away from that and tried to go more into like generally the bigger world of movies and, you know, stuff that it falls into those different categories of either being critically huge or you know, won a lot of awards or made a lot of money or had such a significant cult following that kind of superseded its initial release. But I find myself like some of my absolute favorite movies, like I think like say Glengarry Glen Ross, fucking adore that movie. Love it to bits. I'd struggle to justify it being on Cinema Swirl other than I really like this movie, you know.
Well, I've seen it, so...
You've seen it as well?
Yeah.
I mean...
I think because you went on about it and I watched it.
Did I?
This might have been before...
You.
Before Cinema Swirl, I heard you talk about it.
There's a couple of things like, you know, some other Scorsese movies, maybe like Casino, which I feel might just be kind of a little bit redundant after having done Goodfellas.
Okay, yeah.
But in regards to the kind of serious subject matter, I mean, nothing has really ever scared me away subject matter wise, but there are some movies that I feel like would just be awkward to do, like American Beauty with Kevin Spacey. It's a very iconic movie of the time and was considered to be extremely important.
Yeah.
But that is like that baby absolutely went out with the bathwater is all I'll say, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel I'm less likely to jump into movies that are themselves not controversial but are dominated by controversial figures.
Sure.
As opposed to, you know, I mean like we still haven't done like a Lethal Weapon. I've been kind of avoiding Mel Gibson like a plague. And I feel like maybe that is just my hesitation, but he's been cancelled for so long now we could, you know...
It's about time, you know.
It's about time we could just make fun of him for being shit as well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think there's some sport in that.
But yeah, there's definitely stuff that I've like shied away from because I think it would be just self-indulgent. And I think I don't want the podcast just to be about my movies that I love because I don't want to just be yammering on about movies I love. I would like to see some of the movies that Sam loves that maybe incidentally I love as well sometimes.
Well, I mean, yeah, we can do more reverse swirls or we can find... Look, this brings back the idea of this third... A third way.
The Liberal Democrats of the Cinema Swirl franchise.
There has to be a third way of just watching films that we want to watch that don't fit. So, you know, this is another tick in that list of pros, maybe.
Look, I won't be showing him any more David Lynch anytime soon, is all I'm saying. We have to leave that field fallow for a few years.
Yes. So thank you, Martin, for your question.
Yes, thank you, Martin.
Yeah, and thank you, everyone, for continuing to send in questions, queries, comments, other bits and bobs to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Hey, Sam, are you excited to watch the movie?
Yes, I am. I'd like to. I just want to keep singing that. I don't know if there's any other music in it, but it's got to just be that.
I don't know
again.
If it's there or not, but I'm pretty sure they're...
Yeah.
So I feel that we've prepped the ground.
Yeah.
Make sure that you leave your hat on and let's go do a cinema swirl. And we're hat, which we're leaving on. Sam, initial gut reaction to the full, complete Monty.
That film was a belter. Yeah, it was great. Loved that.
I have to say, in direct defiance of the Jonesian edict, neither of us are wearing hats. Nor did we have them on to begin with, so with which we could leave them.
No, our knobs have been out the whole time.
I know, crazy. Fun fact, literally thinking about this, genuinely, it's been years since I've even had a hat on my head.
Wow,
It's been years. Like, the last time I wore a hat on my head, I think you and I were both living in Lincoln. Like, you know, that's how far back we're going now, like.
Wow. Well, that puts, you know, I mean, we should probably do some Patreon bonus content where Kevin puts a hat on.
Oh, no. If you want to see me wearing hats, you got to put a ring on it. Only one person gets to see my hatted hat.
Yes.
And that's either my wife or my as yet to be appointed milliner, of which I've not reviewed any of the applicants.
Okay, so it's a kind of who wants to be a milliner situation when you're reviewing all of these.
No, it's actually more of a Slumdog Millionaire situation where the hats that I have worn all give distinct clues to the quiz that I will give you if you wish to be my hat maker.
Yes, all of that to say, I loved this. Oh, what a boost this was. It really brightened up my day. Yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Why? Is it because you were surrounded by British blokes, surrounded by British visuals? Very much it is the product of the late 90s without any of that Richard Curtis stank on it. So is that what it is?
I think so. Kevin, it was a feel-good good time. And it was British. So I'm happy.
Would you say in 2023 for you it has been the feel-good hit of the summer because it is mid-July right about now?
Yes, this has been my feel-good hit of the summer so far in terms of Cinema Swirl, at least, you know, and films I've watched in general. I haven't watched anything this summer that has made me feel as good as this did.
Sorry, Bond.
There you go.
Just didn't make him feel quite that good after all. I can't believe Quantum of Solace didn't do it, but Full Monty did. What's that all about?
I felt a quantum of good, but not like fully good. And this was the full good, because it's the full Monty. It was good. I really enjoyed it.
Sam, we were immediately hit over the head with Sheffield, a city on the grow.
Yeah.
Were you happy to be in Sheffield for this movie? Have you been to Sheffield much? Do you like Sheffield? What's a Sheffield? It's in Yorkshire. Have you got enough cities, Yorkshire? Jesus Christ.
Kevin, genuinely, and a little peek behind the curtain, we did some scheduling changes. So the pre-swell wasn't like yesterday or just before. It was like last week. So in between pre-swell...
Sam went to Sheffield.
I did.
Really?
Yes, I went to go... Yeah. I saw Pulp at Sheffield Arena. So I was in Sheffield in between our pre-swell and our post-swell. I've been to Sheffield.
Okay, you know what? I'm telling you now, if you've got receipts for your fuel, save them, because that officially is a work trip now.
Yes.
That is literally why it is. There's never before has that happened. I tried to go to Middle Earth once in between The Hobbit, but couldn't go to New Zealand in such a short turnaround. But Sheffield, very much doable. So what was your Sheffield experience like?
I drove pretty much directly to an arena.
Nice.
Went into the arena, had a nice big pint of steel.
Nice.
You know what? The pints at Sheffield Arena were surprisingly reasonably priced because I, knocking about with, Blur, have been drinking London pints, seeing them.
£9 probably, are they?
But Sheffield Arena, £5 pint at an arena is pretty good these days. So,
Look, and I don't want to be getting into any sort of divisive chat here now, because obviously we had the North-South divide in the pre-swirl. Very obvious there. There's the obvious English-Irish divide that will no doubt come out throughout this when I say anything that you might not like about Sheffield, and I can go, well, I'm from Ireland, so I'm allowed to. Actually, I'm allowed to. But I'm just going to say it right now. As far as I'm concerned, steel's a top-class metal. Just gonna say it. I think it is.
Good metal. One of the best ones.
Good metal,
By rights, Kevin, as a Nottingham Panthers fan, I should hate Sheffield because of the Sheffield Steelers. But you know what? This has won me around to Sheffield, and I think it's all right. So,
do they psych up the team by saying that the only thing that can slit a Panther's throat is Sheffield stainless steel?
Yeah, it's kind of like a, Game of Thrones White Walkers thing. We can only be killed by Sheffield steel. It has to be Sheffield steel.
And they wanted to use those steel hockey sticks on the ice, but it kept cracking the ice, and they're like, you can't use it anymore. You're literally shaving the ice every time you take a swing at that puck, which, again, you're not allowed to have a stainless steel puck. No. I will say, I like this a lot. It reminded me very much of the Springfield as a town on the grow. That is what we got here, the classic 60s, 70s, a little bit of hype up for Sheffield. I will say, though, stainless steel cutlery, not when I'm done with them.
No. Eating food so rich that it can stain that steel. Is that the point you're making there?
What I'm saying, Sam, is that if I was eating with my hands, a mess would be made. I'm eating with the cutlery. They ain't stainless. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Yolk and gubbins on it,
Sheffield has numerous nightclubs and discotheques, including one called Scamps, by the looks of things, that is real.
I thought that's what you get on top of your chips. No?
No, I think so. Yeah, they're like little scamps that you get. Yeah. Little scamps.
You could call crunchy bits that are sold in excess at Chippies in this country literally anything, and someone from some town will be like, oh yeah, no, we call them goblins here in Eccles, actually. Yeah, go get your chips with curry sauce and goblins on top. Yeah, we have them all the time.
Well, you remember the nightclub we used to go to in Lincoln, just Crunchy Bits, wasn't it? And we'd go there and they'd play Lip Biscuit, and it was classic. Sheffield is really a city on the move, and then cut to 25 years later, it's all gone to shit.
Well, Sam, it couldn't all be homes of the future and top soccer teams. When's the last time you saw Sheffield United make the Champions League finals?
Yes.
Not recently, as far as I know. Not recently. Keep it to hockey, lads. That's where it clearly is the real skill there. Are you getting enough steel in your diet, do you think?
Well, as I say, I had a few pints at the weekend, but honestly, I'm going light on the steel these days. I've read some studies, and a little bit as a treat is fine, but the amount of steel I was getting through, I did need to cut down.
I always imagine steel is like iodine, which is most people don't get it, and if you have too much of it, it's almost as bad as having too little of it. So make sure you check your steel levels, folks.
Check your steel.
Anyone in a quick fit will do it for you, really. I am still kind of somewhat aghast that both Sheffield and Leeds are in Yorkshire, because surely there has to be some sort of a battle for Yorkshire takes place. If someone goes, Yorkshire's favourite city, and everyone now listening at home who's English is probably like, and they've got an opinion, but I don't know what the popular one is. I'm not sure if I prefer one or the other. They're both fine cities.
I realise we have
English people as well, to be fair.
I realise we have listeners from the region. I like all of the cities in Yorkshire. I think they're all equally as good as each other.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, we think that, but ye who actually live in Sheffield and Leeds, do you probably think you're better than each other, do you? Or is there kind of like a sub-dom relationship between Leeds and Sheffield? I'm just assuming with the heavy metal and all that maybe Sheffield is kind of flexing. I'm not saying it's better, but I'm saying that I would assume it's prone to the flex more than humble old Leeds. It's so close to being named after a type of onion. Like, it's clearly humble by nature, right?
Yeah.
The humble Leeds.
Leeds. Yes.
Other parts of London are technically in Yorkshire as well.
Yeah. I think if you go by the book, the whole of the UK is technically, part of Yorkshire. It's all Yorkshire in the end.
I knew if we got into the weeds of it, I could discover a new level of geographical ignorance here in the UK. And I think we just went through to the other side, folks.
Everything's Yorkshire.
Everything is Yorkshire. But 25 years later, Sam, it's sad to see that wokeness has ravaged Sheffield. Sorry, no, that's the series. I got the series and the movie mixed up again. That's 50 years later, that is. So this is just 25 years later.
We'll get into that series at the end.
No, we won't. No, we won't. Because everyone listening, like a week from now, is like, that's been a rate. That never existed. No, never existed.
But we've got our core two lads here. We've got Robert Carlyle and we've got Robert Baratheon. Those are our two
Robbos here.
Gaz and Dave, I think, are our guys here, and they're nicking.
No. It's Daz and Gave. I'm pretty sure.
So Daz gave Dave a girder that he'd stolen from the steel mill. They've brought Gaz's son, little Nath, along with them, and he already, I was laughing at this, he's getting big laughs from me, because they're trying to transport a girder across like a body of water. And the little boy says, can't we do normal things sometimes? And that really made me laugh, the kind of tragedy of that this kid's day-to-day life is,
Well, that made me wonder, is that an English thing? Were you ever taking stealing? Was that a part of your childhood growing up, or is it just old bits of forest that you would go forage for in Nottingham?
So in Nottingham, we'd go and, steal lace from different places. We'd go... like tablecloths and stuff, we'd go about nicking those. But that's, different industry, so it's fine.
No, I think they were probably one misstep away from murder with a girder here, because it got quite hairy. I'm not going to lie, quite hairy here as well. And I'll tell you what really, really threw me, completely knocked me for six. Didn't see this coming at all. Old Muggins here had subtitles on because he wanted to keep track of all the regional vocal tics, etc.
Sure.
Were there going to be T apostrophes in this from Disney Plus? No, there was not. And not only do we not get T apostrophes, right, A up is said a lot in this movie and in this general region. It's the one consistent thing from Lincoln up to Manchester, and the in-betweeny bits I've noticed is people say A up.
A up.
But I always thought that was A up. A-Y-U-P. A up. And all the times they said A up in this movie, the subtitles on Disney Plus said A up.
A up.
E-H up.
Yeah.
Up. A up.
I think it's A-Y. A-Y up. I mean, so when I messaged Kevin a lot of the time, my first message is A up, and then
A up.
some stuff. It's A-Y up.
A up me chuck. A up me little duck. A up me chicken duck. These are things I hear regularly, okay?
Yeah.
And I just think that Disney... You remade this. No one wanted you to. And the disrespect. You know what it probably is, though? In Leeds, they may say A up. And over in Sheffield, they probably say A up. And that is maybe where the difficulty has arisen.
Maybe. I mean, I had the subtitles on as well, and it definitely felt like a case of translated for Americans. Because if they saw A up, A-Y up, they'd be like, oh, it's I up or something. They do it wrong. And also, arses, the word arses later on is written asses. And that they are different fucking words. They have a different meaning, and I don't like it. They have exactly the same meaning, but they have a different meaning.
Yes.
So the subtitles were bullshit. But there was some great physical comedy here. If it was not murder with a girder, it was calamity with a girder, because they're balancing on a car in the water and fall. It's a laugh.
It feels like one of those videos they'd show you in primary school to scare you off doing certain things. Like in Ireland, it'd be like, never, ever, no matter what, go on a farm or go near any body of water. You'll die. You will die. And I feel like, traipsing through Sheffield with a girder, there, but the grace of God would go many of us, because it seems like a very attractive proposition.
Yeah, at any point it feels like this could pause and it would go, so what have Gaz and Dave done wrong here? And then you'd go into breakout groups and talk about the issues.
They're not doing normal things, miss. That's Now, I realise I'm asking the least qualified person in the world about regional idiosyncrasies, i.e. another person from England.
Yes.
But what does the phrase, don't get a Benny on mean? Because it sounds bad.
I don't know, but I wonder if it's kind of like, get a cob on is a thing. Or...
Are you telling me to make a sandwich? What's that like? Let's get a cob on. Come on.
And I wonder if it's like Mardy. You know Mardy, right?
I know Mardy. Through this podcast, I know Mardy.
Get a Benny on. Let's have a little look. Slang term for fits of uncontrolled temper. To throw a Benny.
Okay. Throw a Benny.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet there's some soccer player from Sheffield All-Stars who's probably notorious for his bad temper, and that's where it's from.
It's one of those things where I don't want to delve too deeply into the origin of that, because it's probably problematic.
Nothing good is going to come of that, is it? It's only downside on that. There's no upside.
So our lads here, they go past a Chippendales show, a strip show. Now, there's a lot of your homophobia here.
Everything that is bad in this movie is addressed by the main characters as being something, and I quote, that a puff or puffter would do. And shame on you for taking genuinely fun words that have other meanings and then tainting them with your dirty, rotten small-mindedness. How dare you? I like puffy things like pillows and fluffy dogs. And
yes, yeah.
There are a lot of corn maze snacks I've eaten over the years that have been generously described as puffs. And how dare anyone take that out of context and put hate in its voice?
Yes. So look, we're not happy with that language,
and it's throughout. But you know what? We didn't get this was a product of the time warning on Disney Plus. I don't know if you were watching it elsewhere, but we didn't.
No,
get
I was.
such it was the mid to late late 90s, Tony Blair hadn't taught them manners yet.
Well, there's two things. Like, there's some homophobic language here, and also a surprising amount of Gary Glitter music is played.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, there was a time where like that was fine.
I think that the people at his record label knew something was up, so they started doing cut rate deals, kind of a bit of a fire sale before they knew that the place was burning down. You know,
take it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Nothing wrong with this.
Seriously, welcome back. Let's go do a cinema swirl. Da-na-na-na. Hey! Excuse me, sir. You've been consorting with pedophiles tonight on your light-hearted film podcast. No, it was just Shiva.
So the lads are a bit offended that this show is women only at the working men's club. So they
You are women only. That's gay. That is.
So they break in via the toilets. They send the little boy in, who, because he's a Yorkshire lad, immediately necks a leftover pint, which I loved. I love that he goes in like,
Let me tell you, them dual wielding their homophobia with their insistence that the Chippendale dancers have no willies. And also, they are gay. They're very scattershot. Something will stick, right? The boy will grow up to hate Chippendales. That's all I know is his father. That's all I need him to believe.
He'll hate Chippendales, he'll love Gary Glitter, and he'll neck pints. And that's what we want. So Dave, Robert Baratheon, his wife, is in the loo talking about her husband. They go into the men's loo, some of the ladies, because there's no men there, so you can just go straight. You know, it makes sense to beat the queue.
I would have figured that the backup Chippendales would be using that as kind of a green room, like, you know, just hanging around the urinals, etc.
Jean, Dave's wife, is saying, you know, my husband's given up a bit. I'm not sure, you know, on his job, on me, you know, on everything. And Gaz hears this, but doesn't tell Dave.
How old are they meant to be?
I reckon they're sort of like, well, it's 30s? 30s.
That's the problem. See, we're at the age now where if you asked us 5 or 10 years ago, we would have went, 30s, yeah. But now that we're in our 30s, we'll be like, 40s, I'd say, maybe.
I'm concerned
older than me, right? Definitely older than me.
No, I think they're like mid-30s, I think is the thing here.
I didn't know it was an option to give up already.
No, well...
Fucking hell. That's not so bad, is it? Oh, I said, well, for some.
Yeah, well, look, you can give up anytime you want. There you go.
Really?
That's my gift to you. Just to let you know, if you want to give up, you can just give up. Ignore John Cena.
Don't give up on the rest of this episode because the best is yet to come. Unlike Dave's life, where he did peak. He did peak when he was doing the arc welding. And then that went away. It's not coming back. And,
yes.
I will say, having watched 2 episodes of the new series, doesn't work out so well for Dave. That's all I'll say.
You know what? Don't tell me about the new series, because I don't. There's reasons why I don't want to know about the new series, but we'll get into them later. But
he went on a boar hunt outside of Sheffield, and let's just say that
it didn't end well.
Those closest to him actually were plotting his downfall in a very complex, intricate way. Even going back here.
All the way back.
I tell you what I love, Sam. I love the fast-paced, sassy banter between all the townsfolk here in Sheffield.
Yeah.
You waiting for me, love? Yeah, to go home. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
No
Classic
swearing
banter.
needed. No swearing needed.
No.
Put them down, though. Put them down.
Kevin, you know what? Not a phone in sight, you know? And that's...
Yeah, if you got catcalled by Robert Carlyle on the street now, you probably have an app to sort it out for you, wouldn't you?
Exactly. This look, nowadays this would all be Instagram comments. But
you're walking by going, hey up, love, you all right? And you tap into your phone and like, Trainspotting 2 was at best self-indulgent. You fucking what? You fucking... It's actually all right, I thought.
I thought it was all right.
Yeah. It's all right, yeah.
So, Robert Carlyle, Gaz here, he's a shit dad. That's a big theme. Well,
come on, Sam, give over.
Well, no.
What does that mean?
Give over?
Give over?
Give over? Oh, give over. You
just say it to me.
Give over.
I don't know what it means.
Give over. Come on, give over. Just shut up. You know.
Oh, shut up. Okay.
Sort of.
It's like how the Inuit have all these different words for snow. And then blooming Yorkshiremen have got 100 words for saying out about shutting up.
I think give over is sort of interchangeable with fuck off, but it's softer, I think. It's
give over could be like a feck off. Like you don't want the full swearing at you. It's kind of lighthearted, is it?
Yeah, I think it is. And look, the reason why I'm saying that Gaz is a bad dad is because the other dads take their kids to proper footy games, not the Sunday league down the park. They take them to, United versus City.
Nick, come on, give over. You like seeing the lads from the TA having a kickabout on Sundays? Come on. Just as good as your Manchester Uniteds and whatnot.
Oh dear. So that's a recurring theme and very interesting.
He also, as well, in an attempt to bond with his son over the beautiful game, said, "Ua cantina." And I quote, "Where's a girly bra? You, sir, are a loser with a cold, dirty house, and no amount of Cantona slander will get you out of that corner."
It's Ua Cantona has to wear a girly bra. He has to. He needs to.
Because of his heaving breasts. Is that it?
Yeah, indeed, Cantona.
You know what? The last person who said that to Eric Cantona got a savate kick to the head. And they died in hospital. And then everyone went,
yeah, so bear that in mind, Robert Carlyle. Meanwhile, down at the job centre.
Cantona to round up the boys. No. Paul Ince, Peter Schmeichel, all the...
So, down at the job centre or job club, the boys are talking about how men are obsolete, like skateboards.
Oh, have I got news for you coming into the noughties, lads? Skateboards are back. Men, though,
not so much.
Dustbin of history, I'm afraid. Obsolete.
They're doing the maths on that gay Chippendale show that they walked past, and they're figuring out that, wait a minute, they probably made 10 grand on this, or thereabouts. And so immediately, once they hear that figure, they're all excited and they're putting together a scheme. It's quite quick into let's put on a strip show. Yeah.
Quick into big plot territory, big schemes, plans being hatched, etc. I did like it was very much reflective of the Blair years, the changing goalposts of success, because at the start they're like, 10 grand, lads, 10 grand, what we could do. Literally one of the last things they say to each other in this movie is, no one's going to be laughing at you when you've got £1,000 in your pocket. Like, they went by a factor of 10 and were still happy.
Look, they're happy with that. But 10 grand's aspirational. You don't know whether they take this on tour. That's the thing.
That's true. They get a slice out of all the stuff that's happened in the workman men's clubs all around the country since then.
Yeah,
which is not documented in the new series on Disney+. I thought the idea of there being a special club for the jobless that sounded fun.
A job club?
Well, there was a camaraderie there. They were all together, reading the paper. If it wasn't for that fucking narc, Gerald, it would have been grand. But I feel like the job centre experience in the UK and in Ireland is very much like a eyes to the floor, keep you away from other people, and you're in and out. Like, they don't want you all consorting and, coming up with plans together. But Job Club, it works, doesn't it? You may laugh at John Major, but Job Club, these men set up industry in Sheffield after the crash. That's not bad for a job club.
If anything, the government deserves a slice of whatever happens here, because at Job Club, they actually created job opportunities and
that's true.
Became self-employed.
Well, that's why the government subsidised it. If you don't know if you remember in the early noughties, but Ed Balls had the Dicks Out to Help Out movement where you got £20 towards your local Chippendale knockoff show. And that wasn't a lot of money by today's standards, but back in those days, you'd see a lot of willies for that.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ed, he got involved. We all remember that. So
he did.
Yeah.
He did.
He put his money where his mouth is. So the reason why Gaz is all up for this becomes clear when we go to Barry the stepdad's house.
Imagine that, Sam, if your wife is left you and she's went for someone whose name rhymes with yours.
Yeah.
Like a Gary against a Barry? That's like, oh man, that's head games right there.
And Barry gives off proper stepdad look and energy. There's something about him that is like proper film stepdad, that guy. you know.
Do you get the sense with Barry that he was cast not for his acting ability, but from a big pile of headshots of, do you look like a stepdad?
Yeah.
And someone, oh, look at this one.
This fucker. Yeah.
Oh! Imagine him having to take you to the park on a Saturday. Fuck no.
Yeah. And he's got a lovely big house, and Gaz is not going to get the custody that he wants unless he keeps up the payments that he needs to make. And so that's the key motivation here. He wants to see his son and have a father-son bond. And can anyone argue with that at the end of the day?
No one can. No one can. And you know what I have to say as well? At this point, there were several opportunities in this movie where there were situations presented where a character could have, with reason, said, all right, leave your hat on. And they didn't take that. You know, they decided, no, we'll save it for Tom at the end.
Yeah.
It'll be worth the wait.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, this next scene here, the lads are heading up a hill. I think they're running.
Who runs in a jumper? What's that?
I know. And Dave, Robert Baratheon, fixes a bloke's car. He's a working man. He knows how to fix things. So he fixes some bloke's car. He's trying to make conversation. And this lad, I'll tell you what, is giving nothing back until Dave realises, after he's walked off, that there's, tubes hooked up to the guy's trying to kill himself in the car.
He turned his car into a suicide machine.
Yes, and Dave actually fixed it to make it
increased the efficiency of the death rate on that thing is fucking second to none now. You be careful.
He realises what's happening, clocks it, gets him out of the car. The guy's like, oh, you bastard. And then Dave chucks him back in and closes the door, which is a surprisingly funny suicide goof, I thought. If you're going to do one, that was a bit of a laugh to me. Is that all right in this day and age? I don't know, but I laughed.
I don't know. Well, Sam, actually, I'll have you know that in the new series, the woke Disney Plus series, The Full Monty Returns.
Yeah.
I'm calling it The Full Monty Returns. That is not its title. But in The Full Monty Returns, no one commits suicide because of political correctness.
Yeah, you're not allowed anymore, are you?
This city was built on suicide.
Did you catch this bloke's name?
See, they called him something, but I thought it was like a derogatory, like the Sheffield version of an Aegis. They called him like a tugger or something. I'm like, Lumper. That sounded like such a you fucking lumper, but that is his actual name.
I think so. Yeah. And once they've got him out of his car and his suicide attempt, they're lying on the hill, and there's a bit of gallows humour. They're being flippant about it. They've been like, oh, you can jump off a bloody bridge, mate. And it's like, well, I'm scared of heights. Oh, you can get one of your mates to run you over in the car.
I don't have any mates,
and they
etc.
But I genuinely got a little bit emotional when they said, hey, we just saved your life, so don't tell us we're not your mates. And he starts smiling, and he's happy that he's got mates, and it genuinely fucking got me. It was very sweet.
This movie, it seems like it's going into very normal turf a lot of the time, but when you actually come to the end of the movie and you realise there's not that many films that are about male bonding, male friendship, or self-image or body positivity, whatever it is. And it is very impressive that this movie does manage to hit on themes that weren't really looked at much in movies before, and dare I say not a whole lot since. And it does it with a deft hand, I will say.
I really think it does. I think it, for the time, it's handling a lot of this stuff very well.
There's a nice beating heart in here that is unfortunately covered in the plaque and crust of the time. But, if you can look past that, there is some genuinely sweet moments in there. My only worry is that a lot of folks with whom these moments would resonate with most were probably checked out after the first 5 minutes when they were calling everything gay.
Yeah, sure. But I think ultimately that crusty heart is in the right place, is the thing you've got to remember here. So it's time for a bit of practice. And as ever, they're bringing the kid along to all this fucking shit stuff that they're doing.
Part of growing up, though, Sam, isn't it? Watching your dad strip, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, do you remember the pact that you and I had made in a recent previous episode?
Was it about imagining each other's dads?
It was. If there was any situations we found ourselves in where imagining our dads might be uncomfortable, we gave each other permission to imagine each other's dad.
You can have my dad and I'll have yours, yeah.
So, Ian's been through the ringer this time, is all I'm saying. you know, I didn't think I'd be imagining what I did about him, but I was. But that being said, I'm glad I wasn't thinking about my dad. So this has actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, sure.
How did my dad get on? How did Brendan fare? I mean, he obviously thought about it.
Yeah.
Unless there's something wrong with my dad, is there? No.
No.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Don't be a prick. Think of my dad stripping.
He did a great job, and to give him credit, he got properly stuck in, is what I would say. And I think
and you know what as well, Sam?
Yeah.
Because my dad is bald, I think when the hat comes off, that's an extra, you know, there's
it's an extra layer of nudity.
There is. If I just had come to the realization that I'll never be able to be as nude as my dad is because he's got that leg up on me, missing a bit of hair up top. It's true that you always get crushed by the expectations of your parents, don't you? Eventually, by hook or by crook, you won't fill daddy's big shoes.
I'll never be able to be as nude as my dad is a very funny sentence.
You know what, though? I'm going to say it. I could be as nude as your dad, so fuck you. Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
So, it's the first practice here, and they're sorting through the records, and they come to, is it hot chocolate? I believe in miracles.
Where from? And I sing that every time I have hot chocolate because I fucking love hot chocolate.
It is miraculous. Yeah.
It is miraculous.
This, I mean, the sort of physical comedy in this is very fucking good because when Gaz is taking his jacket off and swinging it around and coins are going everywhere.
that made me laugh so much every time.
Fucking
every
brilliant.
time.
Yeah.
And when he's like taking the top off, because he's good in spite of his shittiness, if you know what I mean. Like he keeps doing stuff wrong, but he has got the bones of a good stripper in him. And it's when he lights himself on fire with his cigarette. That's another lovely little touch, like where he's chewing the moment to realise what's going on around him, you know?
Yeah. And I was watching this with Sophie, and we both agreed that Robert Carlyle is a good looking lad.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's in top nick here. Yeah.
He's done this before, Sam. He has.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. It's not his first rodeo.
Not
despite what it's.
And I don't know what it was, but I just happened to find that this routine was a lot more tasteful than when he did it in Train Spot, and it was a little bit intimidating. It wasn't really the right atmosphere, for lack of a better term, that you'd want.
No. More charming here. But little Nath, he's run away. He's embarrassed.
It's part of growing up, Nate. Come on. Watch your dad strip.
And again, funny dad things here, because he's trying to like reassure his son, like, you know, I want to keep seeing you. This is why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for a laugh. And then he says to his son, I like you, which is like, I like you. He does eventually say like, I love you. But his first thing is like, I like you. That's a funny thing to say to your son. I like you. Wonderful.
My dad is the type of dad who'd say, I love you. Like, that was never an issue. But I don't know if my dad has ever been like, I like you. It's quite a weird thing.
Yeah. I suppose that you don't get unconditional like, do you? You get unconditional love. But
no, there is nothing more conditional on this planet than someone liking you. You can unconditionally love the fuck out of loads of stuff and people, but that changes with the winds. Come on.
So maybe that's like a bigger deal than I've made it out to be. That him saying, I like you, that means a lot, you know? Because of course he loves him, but he also likes him.
And that's why I'm happy to say here on the podcast, Sam, that I like you. I do.
Kevin, I like you too.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, we might as well end now. It's not going to get better than that, is it? So, what do you think of the movie? Is it all right, yeah?
Yeah. You can keep your hat on. To learn about dance, they've come to a dance club, a dance class.
It's that narc Gerald. He dances.
He's dancing. They're taking the piss out of him, calling him Torville, which is funny. Gerald here, the narc, he was their former foreman, but he's now not a foreman because he got fired from being a foreman.
Even the top brass, I realise top brass
steel.
Steelworks might be quite confusing, yeah. But even the top steel got thrown out on the scrap heap of history.
And it's a real scrap heap challenge here to kind of work together a way to make some money. Gerald, he's got a lifestyle to keep up. He's been lying to his wife that he's got a job. She's booking fucking skiing holidays. Skiing. So he'll probably be on board with this too, is what I was speculating here. But in the first instance, he's having none of it. He's like, lads, I've got a job interview. I'm actually going to get a job. I don't need you.
I'm
Go
a
away.
respectable member of society. Now, I tell you what, Sam, low key, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking about different adrenaline rushes and thrill rides, etc.
Sure.
I'm not going to lie to you, not having a job for 6 months and kind of trying to keep that sham alive and convince everyone around you that you're somehow still getting on.
Kind of
like
exciting.
Patrick the Starfish did it, Gerald did it here. I mean, that's pretty exciting, Seaman. You know, what a low-key rush it must be. What does he do all day? He just reads the paper, does he?
Well, he goes down job club and he goes dancing. Yeah, he just tries to maintain that lifestyle. But it's hard. And the lads, and I think this is perhaps the worst thing they do, they follow him down to his interview and they dick around with the gnomes from his garden in the window in the background of the interview and ruin it for him.
Like, you're already blackmailing him because they immediately clock that he hasn't got a job and the wife doesn't know. So, like, right, you have the blackmail element there. You don't need to destroy his prospects as well.
No.
Like, you already have him. So they basically reduce him to rock bottom, and then he's their mate. Which, okay, what I said earlier about male bonding and all that, if you have to break someone down and threaten to destroy their life to get him to hang out with you and dance with you, probably not a good mate to be.
It's weird how it ends up working because Gerald's like coming into job club being like, I'm going to beat the fuck out of these cunts because they ruined my one fucking opportunity. But he doesn't. And there's a kind of mutual understanding of they're all struggling. They're all in the shit here. It's all
Different
terrible.
shades of shit, basically.
Yeah, it's the great leveler that they're all unemployed and they're struggling. And so the lads come together to fix the gnome and buy him a little gnome wheelbarrow. And they say, the wheels go around and everything. And Gerald's sitting there, spins the wheel. And I was like, that's cute. Like the wheels go around and he spins them. And like, tar lads, tar very much. So
you know what,
they're
again,
mates now.
Another theme the movie handles quite well. And it's in a way that ages well, which is, you know, unemployment, you know, and the beast that it is and how it can strike people from all walks of life. Because I think usually in movies, when it's unemployment, it's usually treated as like kind of something very grotty and grotesque or like with nail and eye or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, young layabout students. But it's like, no, you've got this people who are all various skilled and unskilled parts of the labour totem pole in this factory are all suffering through it for very different reasons. And again, it's another thing I think the movie does pretty damn well.
Absolutely. And now it's time for something that I'm pretty sure Phoenix Knights ripped off wholesale at the end of each of those. Yeah, a lot.
You
like
think?
100%.
Basically, Phoenix Knights seems to have come about when, you know how you hear that some stand-up comedians have like producer folks who they send around to like local pubs and working men's clubs to hear the stories and the chat that they have, and then they tailor that into something that a Michael McIntyre or a Jack Whitehall or whoever it may be could use. I feel like Peter Kay just sent around a few producers to listen to people who have seen the full Monty and then be like, this is great! Why don't we make a series that's like
I love that,
but easier to make?
Yeah. And we've got Les Battersby here, as far as I'm aware. I've been told that this is Les Battersby from...
Oh, I thought this was Keith Chegwin. I'm quite disappointed now. Whatever. He looked just like the Keith Chegwin on my Keith Chegwin Wii game that I have.
Yes, he's got real Keith Chegwin vibes, and he's here to strip off to that Je t'aime song. And the lads are there watching, and
funny.
It's really funny and quite like sad funny. It's
like there's stripping, there's undressing, and then there is the tragedy that is this man removing his clothing. It's a whole other level.
It's very, very funny. And I can see why Phoenix Knights ripped off this concept of, you know, you have a performer on stage and you cut to the, you know, auditioners auditioning him.
And the boy is there as well, by the way. It's not just his dad, it's other people's dads he gets to see strip now as well.
The boy's part of the gang. He's just one of the lads. So he is usually there when men are removing their clothing. We're introduced to Horse and... hey, ask him why he's called Horse. And then the debate comes up, what's the point in having a big wanger if you need a Zimmer frame to tout it about? And they're saying, oh, look, he's about 50. And that's old to them because they're our age, right? Is that the thing?
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't know. But Horse got a big todger. He's a lad with a big wanger. And
Allegedly.
He could dance despite his dodgy hip. So sign him up. He's in.
And then we get the plasterer who Gerald has to hide from because he doesn't want to be rumbled, doesn't want the sham that he's living to come unfurling around him.
Yeah.
And he can't even wall walk. Don't expect a callback from Bjork anytime soon for the music video.
So the wall walking thing, I saw exactly where this was going to go. And even when it went there, I pissed myself laughing. Like, it is funny that he, builds himself up. Like, I can do the wall walking thing, and you don't even see it, you just hear him clatter down trying to do it. Very, very funny. And this lad, he has got a big todger because he gets it out in front of all of the lads, including the little boy, and you see them all reacting.
In the series, remarkably well adjusted, in spite of all the capers that he's been involved with and all the dicks he's seen from a very, very young age from strange men he doesn't know. Do you want to know a fun fact about the plasterer and the guy who played him? Because he's the only member of the full Monty gang who didn't come back. Sam, why are you rubbing your eyes in your face? He's the only member of the full Monty gang who didn't come back for the new series. Could you believe it?
Kevin,
believe it?
I know. I know what. You know what? You can say what happened with.
Did you read his interview in the Star as well? Then about what the allegations.
It's not like he declined to be in it. He was going to be in it, and he was sacked from it.
You know this.
I know this. Yeah.
Did you type in full Monty controversy into Google as well? Are you trying to full Monty me? Are you trying to put me out of a job so I have to go strip? Because I can't Google controversial things for podcasts anymore.
I mean, do you want to diplomatically put what the issue was and the reason why he was sacked?
The headline state of being is nudity.
Yes.
Complaints regarding. He proclaims in his interview that he just happened to be in a state of undress in his dressing room, which, I mean, I'm assuming dressing room, you're going to be taking clothes on and off, even if it's not the full Monty, am I right?
Well.
And he claims that these runners barged into his room even after he told them not to come in, and he was like hiding and saying, no, please don't see me naked. And they were like, no, I'm coming in no matter what. And now I'm going to cancel you because the young people are woke, gone mad. Now, Disney did do an investigation and found that he was often nude, and apparently including walking past members of crew nude, walking onto set nude, and being nude in his dressing room. Like, not just changing clothes, just being nude all the time.
Yeah.
But look, I know you might think that it was fair game for him and all that, but he had a cracking line. And he said, hang on, what was it? He said, he said it was the full Monty. So what are you expecting? Is going to be a, hey, bit of nudity? Hey?
Yeah.
He said it was political correctness gone mad. It was what it was.
Well,
but it wasn't. He was just naked on a professional production.
Given the boot, sacked.
Given the heave-ho. And I know, no, not without Spiro, we can't possibly do the full Monty reunion. They muscled through, but maybe the sense of malaise might be because the lad who was compulsively getting naked all the time wasn't in the movie about getting naked.
Yeah. But that's the series, and this is the film. So we sort of... I had such a good time with this. There are no allegations
about him on set during this production, so there's nothing untoward here.
At this point in time, fine, I think, sort of. I don't know. Look, right. I really enjoyed this. I don't want you... Stop ruining it! Stop ruining it with your fucking information about this stupid series that fucked this up, because I loved this. I thought it was brilliant, and I don't want to know about all the horrible things that have happened since. I want to know. I just
love that we're living in a world where even the existence of such a series, like, you can avoid it, you can not watch it, you can see a trailer for it even, and it can still ruin the thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing, powerful stuff.
So, Dave is talking to his wife, and there's a running theme here that Robert Baratheon, he's a big bloke. Also, he's a big bloke in the 90s. He's not even that big. Like,
yeah,
he's
I know.
I'm
he's
the
not
fat lad. And he looks absolutely
He's built like a brick shithouse, Sam.
Yeah.
I've seen fucking wrestlers who'd want a body like that. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. And his wife is like, look, I'm married to you. I love you. And he's very, he has body confidence issues. And
he also seems to have
issues
with the fact that there are men with big willies now on the dance troupe. He's also keeping this secret. And it's one thing that they don't really go into. It's like, oh no, this is what you do because you're a man. So you don't tell anyone like anything ever. So all these men are in a constant state of secrecy. Gerald is made out to be this like fucking idiot because he doesn't tell his wife he's unemployed. But all the other lads are all plotting and scheming and keeping stuff from their wives and like about how they feel about themselves, about their friends, about their prospects. But there's a lovely line that he has here. And if you've ever been unemployed and you've ever had that kind of listless, like really trying to get a job or whatever it is, and you run out of steam, he says it's amazing how tiring it is doing nout all the time. And it is, oh my God, he hits the nail on the head very well there. It's like if you don't use your batteries, they lose their overall charge over time and you just become bleh.
Yeah. And I liked your battery analogy. I thought that was...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Make sure that if you are using your rechargeable batteries, that you're charging them fully and then using them till they're fully drained before recharging them again, because you might as well just go buy new batteries then.
Yeah, I agree.
That goes out to my uncle who gave me allegedly fully charged batteries for my Game Boy, and I'm like, oh, let's see how long we'll get out of this then. Probably like half an hour, probably.
Boo.
Ridiculous.
Tell you where you can buy batteries, mate. Meadowhall. We go to Meadowhall. And Dave's there spying on his wife, sort of flirting with her co-worker, but not really.
What's Meadowhall? It's only the shop Woolworths could have been.
Kevin, Meadowhall is a shopping centre. It's all the shops in one place.
Oh, wait, sorry. Meadow Hall, as in
Meadowhall.
The big...
Yeah, Meadowhall.
That's what we were talking about in the Priest, where it's got Eddie Rockets in it.
Yeah, Meadowhall.
Oh, wait, the shop is Asda, isn't it?
And they're in Asda. That's where they're nicking Pick and Mix and Flashdance. So Asda is the shop that Woolworths wishes is hard to say. Woolworths wishes it was.
You know what's really confusing?
Yeah.
Up in Northern Ireland, when I would cross over the border to go and get cheap magazines and umbongo and knickknacks, and for my dad to have an assault rifle pointed at him by the British Army. Thanks a lot for that, guys. He never wanted to go back. But we did Wellworths up there.
Wellworth.
And we used to have fun because you're like, do you want to go to Woolworths or Wellworths? And we're like, Mom, obviously both, because they're great shops where you can buy sweets and videos.
Yeah.
Fucking God's country. Amazing.
Yeah, I miss the days of buying sweets and videos in the same place,
I wish I was back in the time where I didn't know as much about microbes as I do now. You can't unlearn that. I'm all fucking fondling and palpating all the pick and mix. Jesus Christ. Awful stuff.
I'm willing to roll the dice.
But it's no wonder they went out of business though, Sam, because with all these videos, it's not like CEX where you can keep all of the media in a big file, at the back of the shop. So those videos are just sitting sheep waiting to be eaten by wolves. Brackets Robert Carlyle.
Yes, and they nick Flashdance, which I haven't seen. Have you seen it? Is it worthy of this swirl?
Immediately I wrote down here, we're doing this for Cinema Swirl when enough dance time has passed.
Okay, yes.
What a feeling.
Dave's criticising her welding skills in the film. He's like, oh, she can't that joint will never stick or whatever.
Oh, man. It's just, again, it's this movie. It's kind of, there are these few moments where it drags you right back. You know where you are. It's the late 90s. Of course, the fucking man is going to be doubting the composition of the woman's welding mix. Maybe she wants more Ceciline in there, you fucking pig. You ever think about that?
Yeah. Fuck you, Dave.
Fuck you, Dave.
And Gerald.
No wonder they don't let you weld anymore.
Gerald is saying, look, lads, I can teach you to dance in 2 weeks. And so we're essentially now getting 2 weeks worth of dancing instruction and training from the lads here for the
expecting
rest
more montage perhaps for this part.
Yeah, but
we got through it.
Yeah, they're practicing. Horse explains some of the moves to them in footy terms that they could understand.
Ah, yes.
Which is cute because they're all lads, aren't they?
What are the footy terms, Sam?
Offside.
What's
goal,
that mean then?
Corner kick. All of the moves they have to do here.
What's the offside rule then?
When the ball goes off the side of the football pitch, then the game is over.
I see. Out of bounds.
Yeah. Out of bounds.
That's
game
what
over.
You may have heard us still blow a whistle to signify that, I think. And you might hear that now in a football game. That's what it's for.
And then everyone goes home and that's the end.
Go.
Yeah.
And then they post pictures of the food they got at the football game.
Yeah.
And then Americans go, I can't believe all the people in the UK eat this scran. This
in the Premier
scran
League
is what you eat. I can't believe this scran has even got corn syrup on it. I am obsessed with American people using very regional bits of hearing an American person say scran is literally like turned my skeleton inside out. Look at all this footy scran he ate, the absolute mad lad.
Gross. So, where did you hear when Americans say scran, by the way?
Oh, there was something kicked off on Twitter a couple of probably months ago where it was like someone tried to start this discourse about how all English food is terrible, of course, from Mount Olympus, brackets, the Mount Olympus of gastronomy that is America, they came striking down with their thunderbolts, and some guy made a video where he was like, look at all the scran they eat at their footy games. The absolute mad lads. And I mean that literally and figuratively.
No. Let's get back to Sheffield.
It's all great. All the food is great.
It's all great.
Guys, here comes Ireland saying, just get along. It's all great. Let's just all eat the food. Let's just all eat breads. Come on. Yeah. We love it.
Gaz encourages the lads, and I think they're around Gerald's house, to all take off their clothes together and get naked in front of each other, because if they can't do it in front of each other, how are they going to do it in front of 400 screaming women? And
Makes sense.
Very sweet how self-conscious they all are.
Oh, they're sheepish, aren't they?
They're very sheepish.
Like, a sheep will never want you to see its willy. It's always very, big wool,
Yes.
No, you're not going to see that.
And they famously have woolly willies, the sheep, don't they?
They
they're sheep.
Sam, what are kegs?
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 Oh, like your trousers. Your kegs.
Trousers?
Your kegs off. Yeah. Your pants.
Kegs aren't underwear.
I'm not.
Because I've also heard cacks. I heard that in Dublin, and I've heard that in some places in the UK. Cacks, but I thought cacks were your underwear. So is it cacks then kegs? Because I don't be wearing things the wrong way around now,
What are kegs?
They're large barrels for holding liquor.
A small barrel. Keg trousers. What are kegs trousers?
Oh, I bet it's a brand.
Oh,
they're trousers.
So it can be underpants or trousers.
Because I always love using the term pants to describe trousers, which is an Americanism, I understand. But it wasn't. It's the type of thing that you could get away, because the phrase that I would hear often in Ireland is grand pair of pants there now, and people saying the trousers were nice. And it's the only pushback I got from my own. I could call people Egypts, gobshites, I could say all sorts of Irish stuff. But if I called trousers pants, you can't do that. That refers to underpants. It's not on. You have to emigrate back to your home country now.
That's bang out of order what you've said there, mate. I don't like that at all.
It is. You're an absolute mad lad, and you
You are a wrong 'un, mate, for saying that. That is bang out of order. Stop it. Stop saying it. I think
I have stopped. I love the term pants, but I don't use it anymore, really.
Kegs. Cacks.
Cags. Like you get on your chips, kegs. Little sprinkle of kegs on the top. Lovely.
But they take their kegs off, and at the same time, the bloody bailiff's around Gerald's house to take his telly away. But all of the lads who are just in their kegs, their pants, their underpants, They're just wearing their underwear. They then come in, a bunch of lads in their pants, and say, put it down and piss off. And the bailiffs do piss off. I mean, what? I mean, you would, wouldn't you? If it's a bunch of lads in their pants coming over to you.
This scene, not just Peter Kay who was watching this, the producers of Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away were probably watching this as well, going, look, if we go to people who are insolvent and they're having stuff taken away by bailiffs, something wacky and fun like this is going to happen. And 3 seasons later, everyone was sad and miserable, and even I remember watching that show once and being like, even the bailiffs are embarrassed. This is truly the dirt worst. The bailiffs like, do you want to keep it? Like, I don't.
I feel bad about this, mate. So, Gaz, they need some money to. What do they need money for here? They need like a deposit to get.
They can put a deposit down on the Working Men's Club, so that they can have their show. Or in the words of Robert Carlyle, you got to speculate to accumulate.
You have. And the mum, Nathan's mum, is like, well, get working then and do some work. And obviously Robert Carlyle's like, well, we're not doing that. So little Nathan... Yeah,
because £2.50 an hour, that was the minimum wage in the 90s. Even with inflation, that's fucking shit.
Yeah, it's real shit.
It's so shit. Absolutely awful. Oh, I want to know as well, with the club owner, I don't know if this is something that's ever used around your way, but he went, here are youth. Youth, referring to someone as youth. Is that something you've come across?
Yeah.
I like that.
Cheers, youth. Yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah. Tell you.
Now, when you said that, that sounded like it was a Bristol thing, like Cheers Drive.
Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, there's been a lot of accent kind of going around, and
the mask slipped.
To try and calibrate, something happened.
You need to do the accent equivalent of printing out the test page for the printer, so you're all in alignment.
It's like that girl from Little Mix preparing to do a Jamaican accent. Have you seen that clip?
No.
Okay.
The girl from Little Mix has been through enough without me adding to her woes as well. Okay. Goodness.
I think some people at home will know what I'm talking about, but it's a classic.
I will later this evening.
It's weirdly not as bad as it sounds, but it is very right. Anyway, look.
It's not when Adrian Brody practiced his Jamaican accent, is it?
No, it's not. It's not at that level.
Because that's where my mind went.
So, little Nathan, he's going to go to the bank or building society or whatever and take it out of my savings, Dad. And Robert Carlyle's like, no, mate, don't do that. Until his son's like, Dad, you said you'd get it back. I believe you. I like you. And so at that point, he lets the little boy take £100 out of his savings.
That's your communion money, you fool. No Edinburgh Fringe for you when you're 21.
We now get a little training montage. A lot of this is actually them playing football. But, Kevin, I love the name of their strip act. It's incredible.
Hot Metal Dare to Bear.
Hot Metal We Dare to Bear. Amazing. Murder with a Girder, Hot Metal, Dare to Bear.
I mean, yes, I would have suggested stainless steel, but that's just the Sheffield vibes,
Well, there might be some stains on their kegs,
Women only.
Yes, and some women walk by when they're putting up posters, and they're like, oh, why would it come to this? We had the real deal the other week. What benefit will we get out of watching you lot take your kegs off? And at this point, Robert Carlyle, he's improvising. He's like, well, ladies, we get our knob and bollocks out. No, he says, we go the full Monty, which means tackle out, gents. Everything's off.
See, this to me just felt like the old wrestling territory days where like the big leagues would come through town, then some small outlaw promotion tries to come in afterwards. You're gonna ruin the whole territory. You can't have two. Like, Sheffield doesn't get any strippers of the male variety for like 30 years, and then we get 2 in 1 week. What is this? The bus service?
You wait all day for some strippers, and then two lots of them come along, and
then the bus comes up and it says women only on it, and you can't get on.
I saw a bus the other day that had on its bus thing reserved for Amazon, and it had the Amazon logo. And I thought, it was empty. What the fuck's going on with that bus? Anyway, right, so...
Sam, you can't drop a bombshell like that. I mean, that's all I'm going to be... The rest of this episode, that is literally all I'm going to be thinking about. Look how professional I will be in spite of it.
So, Robert Carlyle's like, look, lads, we need a USP, and our USP is our unique selling penis, and we've got to get our willies out. And, Kevin, at this point, I could feel a famous scene coming that I have seen
Dare I
before.
say, an iconic scene.
Iconic, yes.
You've watched... I'd say any children in need from, plus or minus 3 years after this. I was thinking there's probably at least 93 children in need parodies of this alone. Yes, other things parodying it. Of course, there's the famous episode of Phoenix Nights, which was just this scene done on a loop with Peter Kay wearing different wigs, wasn't it? Yeah. Paddy McGuinness do one as well.
It's the bit where they're in the dole queue and all the lads are there, and then Hot Stuff by Donna Summer comes on, and they all do
take
little...
their dicks out.
And they all get cancelled because political correctness has gone... No, they practice their dancing, they do the thrusting, the little shoulder moves and the leg stuff. Look, I get why it's iconic. It feels iconic. Maybe because
it's great.
You're right about the children in need of comic relief thing. That is absolutely where I've seen this to know. This is ingrained in my head. I've just seen it over and over again.
Hang on. Who's that? That's Ed Balls. Mom, Ed Balls is doing it. He's doing it, Mom, Ed Balls is doing it. I can't believe Children in Need did an old Chancellor version of the iconic scene from the Full Monty. Oh my God.
Him and his best mate George Osborne just dancing around in the dole queue. Imagine how fucking tasteless that would be.
What a Gerard George Osborne was, though, wasn't he? Every day he got up and he pretended to the whole nation that he was actually the Chancellor, but he'd been fired, and he just kept pretending, didn't he? Oh, we found you out in the end, though. And you know what? Now you have to be a podcaster. A fitting punishment.
So the lads, they have a little bit of realisation here because they're looking through some magazines and they see some women and they're like, oh, her tits are too big or something. And then they go, well, wait a minute, lads. Maybe for once, women will be critiquing our bodies rather than the other way around.
The shoe is going to be on to other foot.
Yeah, well, they're not even going to have any shoes on. That's the problem. What? I think that their feet will be exposed as well. And for some of the perverts in that audience, that will be the unique selling point. But they're like, oh, wait, we're going to get judged in the same way. And they start to kind of think about some of their misogyny and, boisterous...
Not too much, though. That would be gay, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A joke that made me laugh, because it's classic comedy, is they hand out the leather pants that they've got to wear, and Dave's like, well, you don't get much for your money, do you?
Hey.
And I'm like, hey, because they're small pants.
Is this the first time in Cinema Swirl history that we had on the silver screen an erectile dysfunction scene play out in real time? Because King Rob looked like he was about to get frisky and then he just wasn't feeling it, and he definitely didn't want to talk about it.
I mean, everyone's having dick trouble in this because Horse is on the phone to the penis pump customer service line being like, look, I need to maintain my dick reputation. And they're like, well, we can't help you. And yeah, Dave's having trouble in the bedroom. I mean, I think the pressure of in a couple of weeks I will have to get my body and willy out in front of many women, it's probably going to play havoc. But I think this ties into his overall body image issue.
Yes, he does at one point say, there's no anti-fat bastard cream, is there?
No.
And maybe we can live in hope that the technology will come.
There is now, according to my Instagram ads.
Really?
Yeah. And it's called Huel.
I can't believe I ate the whole jar of anti-fat bastard cream. It was just too delicious.
And he puts cling film around his tummy because he's heard that that's what they do in the fancy. It's just very sad.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Even at his lowest, right? Even at his lowest, he was there. He tried to have sex with his wife. He couldn't fulfill that part of the relationship. He can't even talk to the woman he loves. He's all wrapped up in himself, and he's literally wrapped up in himself in cling film. And I still couldn't feel bad for him, Sam, ultimately, because look at the size of the Mars bars they had back in 97. Fuck me. It was as big as a Snickers.
Say what you will about the Tories, but they didn't start, outlawing big chocolate bars.
They did that later.
Like Tony Blair did. Yeah, they did that later.
They did it later, yeah. Like now, right now.
That's the one time I will ever defend the Conservatives. It's like, well, at least the Mars bars were massive in, those days. And that was fine. In John Major's Britain, you had big Mars bars.
I'm not sure how much you can genuinely tie that to
I don't think I can.
Tory government, Sam. I have a funny feeling that if we let that slide, the Tories win somehow. So
Okay. Fuck them and their stupid Mars bars, the cunts. Right.
Look, I'll tell you, when George Osborne pops on the podcast next week, we'll have sharp words. Sharp words for him. Gerald,
to really rub it in with Dave, Gerald tells the story about how he got a big old bonk on at school swimming lessons. And Dave's like, oh, you're talking to the wrong man. Don't leave me alone.
But no, I'm trying to tell you that when I was a child, I got an erection so big I feared it would pierce my shorts. And there were all these young girls around. There's a way he could have told that story that would have landed him right in jail, right then and there. The fact that they're doing it outside the school as well, fuck me, lads. If I was on duty, I'd be spraying you with a hose with that kind of chat.
In response, Dave does what everyone with depression does. He gets a job at Asda, and he's a security guard at Asda. He's done pissing about. It's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. He's getting a solid job, and he's being a bloody man, and he's doing his job. That's what he's doing. He's not getting involved. I'm not getting my dick out in front of everyone. No, I'm being a security guard at Asda.
Now, I was obviously anticipating the Gary Glitter needle drop.
Yeah.
But when we're having our rehearsal set to Gary Glitter and there's a small boy watching these grown men strip and then the police show up and he's like, holy shit, I've just uncovered Sheffield's largest paedophile ring. All of that was like, I feel that was one of the best jokes in the movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't make it intentionally.
Not
in some
deliberate.
ways.
It's become funnier with time.
And also tragic in its own way.
And when I was hearing that Gary Glitter needle drop, I thought, oh, is this a Joker origin story for one of these characters? Perhaps Little Nathan is that's what's going to take him to the point where he later on becomes the Joker.
Sam, though, in 2019 when the Joker came out, no one knew about Gary Glitter's crimes.
No.
He'd just been in prison for around 15 years at that point. We just assumed it was for other stuff. How were Warner Brothers and Joaquin Phoenix to know he hurt his foot? He hurt his foot. How are they to know?
It's one of those things with America where they do know the thing about Gary Glitter, but because that song is used so much in, the sport, they're just like, well, we want to keep using it, so they keep using it.
What are you going to cancel Michael Scott next? I don't think so. We like our paedophile music very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, keep giving him royalties, because we like it. It is a tune. It is a tune.
Where do they go?
Into Gary Glitter's
someone who shows
naughty
up
pocket.
on Below Deck, no doubt, is collecting paychecks for the Gary Glitter needle drops, right?
I mean, I assume he's sold the rights to pay for
his incarceration.
to try and pay for legal fees and shit. So someone somewhere is profiting from this. I don't think it's Gary Glitter directly, but it could be. It still could be.
I just don't like the idea that he can
get the money,
loads of Mars bars in the prison canteen because Warner Bros. Decided, actually, nothing sums up the Joker quite like a paedophile's smash hit #1.
But you can take some comfort in knowing that those Mars bars are smaller than they were back in 1997.
That's fishing punishment.
Yes. They get taken into the police station, apart from the plasterer and, what's he called? Lomper. They're running away in their little pants, jumping over gardens and stuff, which is quite sweet. And then...
That was a bit of How's Your Father? It was very classic Best of British. Men, carry on. Showing people your nudity, yes.
They've got their bums out.
They did.
When they sneak into a house or I think it's one of their houses or someone's house to get away.
I think it's his house, yeah.
And they look at each other and it's clear that there's a lovely gay love story going on there. Yes. Love. Very sweet. It's not explored loads, but
no.
For a film from the 90s, it's nice that there's a little love story there.
I know what you're thinking. You think, look, maybe you went into this movie thinking you're going to get a bit of representation. Or, maybe you're thinking, no, I'm not going to get it cynically. Surely not. But then you get it, but it's so small, it's almost not there at all. And it's for that reason that Disney were really interested in bringing back the full Monty for that special 25 years later series. They're like, guys, the brand guidelines we're perfectly in alignment here,
If there's one thing Disney loves, it's blink and you'll miss it gay moments. And so they were like, well, sign these guys up because That's what we want. And thankfully, they don't even have to include that story because they've sacked the guy.
They did. So we don't really find out what happens there in that sense.
Because it was a setup and he's innocent. No, that's not the case at all.
No, it's definitely not the case. As I said, there was an internal investigation and the nudity was persistent.
Unnecessary. Yes.
Chronic nudity, some would call it.
Yes. Anyway, I love this film. Meanwhile, the mum comes...
I'm not trying to ruin it. I had a good time as well.
Stop
but
ruining
when
it.
I'm giddy, I may unintentionally ruin things. I'm aware of this about myself now.
The mum comes to pick up Nathan, and obviously she's like, what the fuck? You've been getting your kit off, getting arrested. Look at yourself, Gary. You're a fucking mess. The bailiff's around Gerald's place taking all his stuff, so his wife now knows, and she's mostly furious that he's just hidden this from her and lied to her. So everyone's rock bottom is where they are here. And Gaz can't hang out with his son, and Gerald's like comforting him, and there's some male bonding and support here, which is really important. There's like that friendship aspect that carries through this.
Now, the part of this that was slightly confusing for me, because I think they all but skirted around this, and I definitely think that it would not have stood the test of time particularly well, but they do mention that those who went to the police station were charged with indecent exposure. That's why they all had to wear those special perverts blankets that are reserved for diddlers and the cold. But he then goes to school to pick up his son, and the ex-wife and the stepdad swoop in to take the son away, and they're like, you've read the lawyer's letter, you're not allowed to be near the boy anymore. And the boy's like, come on, Dad, we're going to pool. And Robert Carlyle's like...
And that's not to Blackpool. They're going to a swimming pool.
To a swimming pool. And Robert Carlyle's like, oh, no, I can't, our kid. I'm afraid I've not got my togs. And like, oh, we'll get you togs. Come on. He goes, no. I can't. And then he kind of looks around shiftily. Is he basically admitting to being on the sex offenders register, so he's not allowed to be at a pool? Also, if he is, why is he outside the school? Where are the staff on duty? Ridiculous.
There's some implication there that something's been said that he can't, but we don't know whether he's on a register or not.
Indecent exposure.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Not to be confused with decent exposure, which is what they get when the news of this comes out and it's a smash viral hit. Because it goes in all the local papers.
It does. Sorry, in between those two moments, Lompa's mum has died and they all go to the funeral, and him and the plasterer hold hands, and then Gaz and Dave are like, oh, they're gay, way. But in a kind of mate's way, and it's fun. And it's not explored
Sam,
enough.
It's not a mate's way when it's the two straight lads literally pointing at a grieving man and his partner going, they're gay, aren't they? And they have a big old laugh about it. Now, when they did all show up at this funeral, I thought, it's an odd place to debut the act, but hey, it is the 90s.
And the brass band are all playing. I guess maybe I'm kind of hoping and implying that in my head canon, they're in a mate's way celebrating their friends finding love and being gay.
Or
and
they're at least realizing that knowing a gay person isn't this like shocking fucking mind-blowing thing that they might have thought it was when they described everything that is even somewhat bad in their lives as being gay for the last 35 years of their lives.
Yes, they don't kick them both out of the troupe, which at this point feels like progress for these lads, maybe. They're like, oh, we're still,
And if anyone is strange, it's fucking Gaz and Dave here who are like, we don't even hold hands with our women. Like, what? What's wrong with you?
What a shame. But you're right. The indecent exposure has led to decent exposure and good publicity, and word is getting around. Everyone's excited about this strip show. Everyone's kind of taking the piss out of them in the streets. But that
but in a fun way, right?
To fucking ticket sales, mate. Money, asses, arses in seats. Not asses, butts. Not butts, arses. Not butts, bums. Not asses, arses are getting in those seats. Thank you.
Look, I will say right now...
Bums. Bloody bums, mate.
What I'm about to describe is objectively, in many ways, a bad thing. And also, I should say as well, for the record, personally, if I was to do this, I would absolutely get sick. But I couldn't help but notice that when King Rob was finishing up his full Monty-sized big breakfast and literally was lighting a cigarette while licking his lips of egg yolk, and I thought, look at this king. Look at this man. man owning his domain. What a fucking idiot he is, but it's somehow impressive nonetheless. Literally wiping his face of bacon grease, and he's going sick around the go. That's what makes figuring out their age really hard, because that's like that made him seem 55 immediately.
Yeah. I think the Game of Thrones casting lot were watching this scene and they're like, "Oh, there's our guy. Bow your shit.
That's the
we
man.
Got him. Yeah,
there's the bon vivant that we need for these dark times."
So Kevin, they're on. They've sold tickets. Even Gerald's up for it, and he's got a new job. But he's like, "Go on then, we'll all do it." Dave is the last holdout. Dave comes home, and his wife's like, "You're having an affair with a woman who's wearing tiny little leather pants." And he's like, "No,
they're mine.
Me and Gaz have been stripping." And then he does the thing of like, "Jeannie, who'd want to see this dance?" Showing his body. And she's like, "Me, Dave. I do."
Fucking married you idiot.
Please have sex with me. And so that's a nice little moment for them, because he's not having an affair. He's just secretly organised a strip show at the local working men's club.
It happens, guys. It happens.
Kevin, will it be all right on the night? Because tonight is the night.
The big night.
There's women there, but there's also bloody blokes. And so Gaz is like, "I'm not taking my kit off in front of no blokes." That's like the one thing that makes me not want to do it.
And also, Sam, not just blokes. These are blokes from the pub.
Yeah. The worst kind.
Different cut altogether there now. I will say, right, it's the big night. You've been training 2 weeks for this. Robert Carlyle, would you have a fucking shower? He looked fucking gross. No one wants to see a smelly stripper. Yuck.
No. Yeah.
Also, you're going to taint that leather with a fucking unforgivable stench that will not... What are you going to do? You're going to take it to the laundrette? An all-leather codpiece is quite an interesting choice, to say the least, because this has not got longevity written on it, is all I'm saying. Unless any of you guys are apparently fancy yourselves as leather curers, I don't think so.
I think, look, those pants are getting thrown into the audience, and they're a one-time use. It's an expensive gambit, but,
That's how we went from 10 grand to 1 grand.
Yes. Someone please help me with my budgeting here. I'm wasting all this money on leather pants.
Oh, it is 1997. Pie in the sky fiscal irresponsibility. It could only be New Labour.
Exactly. But, Kevin, lo and behold, Dave shows up. He's up for it. Little Nathan is there.
Of course he is.
He's there to watch all the men get their willies out. And he's like, "Dad, Mum's here and all. You're a good... I like you. Go out there, get your kit off, and do me, your son, proud." And so...
He's not a good enough actor, unfortunately. The big rah-rah speech...
He's all right.
He's shy.
He's all right.
I thought he was it was fine.
He's fine. Yeah, he's fine.
It's the last, it could have just tipped this over into pure epic territory, but I felt I had to enjoy the last bit in spite of the boy, not because of the boy. And I will say, Sam, for 10 quid, one song in this economy?
Okay, so I've thought a lot about this. I assume that this is condensed for time, This is when it feels the most like fiction, because there is no way that they're coming out, getting all of their kit off, throwing their hats away, and that's it with one song. I think that this is a larger act that this is the final performance of, but for narrative purposes, it has to be one 3 or 4 minute bit, right? That's what I'm thinking here. It's not, 10 quid one song. I mean...
That's fucking rich.
Yeah.
Chippendales will give you an opener, they give you a main event, and there'd be a couple of journeymen in the middle as well, is all I'm saying.
But if this is your opener and you've got your dicks out, maybe the show goes on and they just do the rest of it fully nude and they do some more... Because they're like, the whole time...
They rip their skin off.
They've been practicing to Donna Summer, they've been practicing to Gary Glitter. I mean, when are those tunes gonna hit the speakers, So maybe they just do the rest
of Chippendale show. Do they go back out and then they put other clothes on, they come out and they take those off as well? Because I feel like...
I do wonder.
I would imagine the whole dance routine is like one big wrestling match, and you can have your high spots, but you can only have one finish. I'm assuming we have near falls, like, whoa, And I do like the shots in the audience when they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna..." There's literally a woman there going, "Boo!
Yeah.
You said you'd take it off."
There is that one woman who's really up for it.
She's
and anytime
so
anything,
fucking up for it.
Oh, come on.
Can we talk about the song, of course, You Could Leave Your Hat On? Because I have some thoughts. Mainly Tom, Mr. Jones, as it were. it really depends on the hat, first and foremost, because the idea that hats could always be a welcome addition to some sort of a hanky-panky situation, I would say, Sam, not all hats. I wouldn't even say the majority of hats, but I would say there is a notable amount of hats that are aggressively unsexy.
Yeah.
You can leave your hat on. What, even the Kangol backwards leather hat? You can leave your hat on. Even the bright checkered fedora with a feather in it? What? You know what I mean? Not all hats.
Here's what I think happened in this song. I think the word helmet didn't scan. Because this seems like this song is made for sexy uniform, you know?
I see. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about circumcision there for a second. And like, Tom Jones is like, no one in Wales is going to be cut.
Kevin, this whole scene is sweet, funny, fun, and the word I put down, triumphant.
It is, yes.
Ah.
And they capture the spirit of, and I hope I'm using this correctly, a knees up.
Yeah. It's a knees up and it's a cocks out, because the whole scene is great. It's really fun. Everyone's up for it. And then this film does what I fucking love in films, and Rocky does this as well, in some of them at least.
Freeze frame
Finish on the fucking climactic, big, triumphant moment. You don't need the bit where, you know, we see how this affects Gaz's life and his relationship.
We end on the high.
Doesn't matter. We end on the high. We don't need more, which is why, and I don't want to immediately get into it because I'm so happy with this film, which is why the series seems like a fucking kick in the teeth.
Oh, it's the idea of it.
I don't need to know anything about what happens to these characters after this point. This is all they need. This is it. It's done. That's the end.
The only way you could do a series if it is like Rocky 2 and it begins like, immediately afterwards, where Robert Carlyle has been pushed away in a gurney and be like, oh, ain't gonna be no rematch. You know? I don't mean to harp on about this song again. I really can't get it out of my head. But there's a part in the song towards the end where he goes, baby, turn off the lights. All the lights. How can you even tell if I'm wearing the hat? What's that?
Schrodinger's hat is what that would be at that point, wouldn't it? Like, because the hat's either on or off.
They take the hats off, you know, and that's where we get our freeze frame. Do you think that it was on purpose that they literally freeze framed? I think it was Gerald's, where there was like a flashbulb going off just around his taint. So it looked like there was this like star being born out of his arsehole type of a thing at the end. And I don't know if that really worked well for him.
It's Kubrickian, isn't it? That kind of close to a film. It's more about what you think that might be. Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, Kevin, this film was almost workmanlike in its ability to deliver what you need, and I feel good having watched this. It's a feel-good comedy, and I fucking feel good, and I laughed.
Like, no faffing around as well. I felt like that was a tight 90 minutes. I wouldn't take, like, you know, yes, some bits have aged badly. I mean, if it's something that was popular in the late 90s, you're going to hear that, obviously. Like, you know,
sure.
Surprise, surprise. But, like, in terms of, like, the structure of it, like, when the big moments come, when the laughs come, how they weave in the kind of serious, more sad topics, but it never treats those things as flippant, and yet those things never drag down the comedy. It's that very, I don't know, that very tangible, matey type of love that they have shown very, very well that makes it all kind of, I don't know, lighter than air almost, you know? You never get bogged down in it, but it doesn't feel like throwaway. It doesn't feel fluffy, you know? It doesn't feel like, you know, shy, you know, it feels like there's a bit of heart to it. And that is something that is always thrown around, and I feel like really actually stands the test of time, something having heart or whatever you want to call it.
Now, comedies have famously not fared well, but I laughed loads at this, and it's a feel-good comedy. It's a feel-good British comedy, and I felt good. I laughed a lot.
Did you feel British?
I felt British. Took my kegs off. I cared about the characters. The soundtrack, despite the real high representation for Gary Glitter, is a belter. You know, the soundtrack is great. There's iconic moments in this. There are issues with it, sure. But I mean, for what this was and what it explores, but still ultimately at the end of the day, it is just a bit of fucking fun and it's great. this is exactly what I needed. Like, I had such a good time with this. I can't get over like how happy I felt having watched this film. It's amazing.
I feel like this is one of those movies, and this rarely happens. Like when you love something, it's like you love or whatever, and it's a great experience that you've gotten to see it finally. But am I right to assume there's a little tinge or a little part of here that you kind of wish you'd seen this maybe back in the day? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I can imagine you and your family watching this and having a whale of a time.
Yeah, for a film about getting your toddler out, it's surprisingly like heartwarming and family friendly. So yes, I wish I'd seen it sooner, but I'm glad I've seen it now. Like, and the only thing tainting it for me really is like the idea that this fucking follow-up series even exists. I watched the trailer for it and I felt so... They look so fucking old. Like, I know they are 25 years older than they were.
Except for Robert Carlyle, it looks like he's like, I don't know, the coalition years treated him really well or whatever it's like...
The rest of them look fucking knackered, and I don't want to go anywhere near that series, to be honest. I feel like I might have to at some point, but you don't need to go beyond that ending. That's such a good ending. Like, it's such a simple movie, but there's so much to it.
You feel like... it being a non-Curtis, like a British comedy that, this did extremely well at the box office at the time. And I think one of the things we talked about in the pre-swirl was that I think there's not many movies that we've watched where you can very easily point and say this one movie here had like this exact impact on the culture of this country here. I think this movie is one of those things that even if you've not seen it, people know what it is, what it's about, the kind of vibe of it or whatever it is, and it's kind of spun off into, they don't name breakfast after any owl movie. There's no Notting Hill gutbuster breakfast in the Calfs in Lincoln, for instance, but there's many a full Monty. But the thing about that is that I just can't believe that they didn't go for a sequel, a cash grab quite quickly. You would have thought in like 2000, 2001, the full Monty 2000 would have been, surely someone was pitching that, right?
I imagine they would have done, but that kind of coincided with Robert Carlyle's film career really taking off. This was like when he was in Bond and stuff, the 2000s, right? Early 2000s. Yeah. So maybe it was a sort of victim of its own success in terms of trying to bring these people back into, a feel-good British comedy at the time. But now, 25 years down, it's like with bands, when they're at the start and there's a lot of buzz around their first album, and the second album comes out, it's a big deal. By the time they're on like album 10, they're back doing little regional sausage and cider festivals, and you can go and see them quite cheaply.
But you told me you had a good time at the Sausage and Cider Festival.
I did. I sang along to, Decent Days and Nights. Hounds of Love, all the classics. But I think that's why this has happened when it has, that, they're all getting involved, apart from the one who was ultimately sacked. So that's the only thing bringing me down, but I don't think that should bring me down, because that's not this film. That's a sequel series.
And I'm sorry, but it's just like, for me, stuff being ruined is still, I thought I'd grow out of it, but like, it's so funny to me.
It's really
so funny to me. It is. It's really, really funny,
Nothing funnier than tarnishing a legacy. Like, that's proper funny stuff. Yeah.
That's the wrestling fan to me, Sam. I can't, because if I don't find that funny, I'll be really depressed, because I am a big fan and make my living in a business that is based on the idea of coming back too late.
Kevin, that series is one more match in Saudi Arabia. That's that's what it is.
Yeah, actually, it's all done on green screen in Dubai, actually. You have to go pay £45 for fish and chips afterwards. I feel like you've just experienced perhaps a perfect comedy on Cinema Swirl for you, I should say. For
me, For me, at this time, that was damn near perfect. So I'm struggling to argue against this film at all. So,
oh my God, I wonder if we're going to get one of these rarities now. We're at the end of the line here now. It's time to throw the hats off into the audience and ask Sam, what is your star wipe rating for the full Monty?
Well, make sure you keep your hat on for this. I'm giving the full Monty 5-star wipes.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Oh, thanks for listening to another episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, edited by me, Sam, and I also did the music. If you want to support the show, then patreon.com/Cinema Swirl is the way to go. If you want to follow us on the socials, we're at Cinema Swirl on Twitter, and facebook.com/cinemaswirl on Facebook, which is where our votes for episodes take place. If you've got questions, queries, comments, or anything else for the mailbag, then send it on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Please do keep recommending the show to your friends if you think they'll like it, or even if you don't think they'll like it, just recommend it anyway. Alright, we'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.